Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today we have a guest all the way from Perth. We're hitting the Perth scene pretty hard. We are uncovering some absolute legends out there, and today's guest is one of them. He's the head coach of Scrappy MMA. He's a pretty active competitor, and we're looking forward to getting to know him a little bit more. He is Pablo Torrealba. Thanks for joining us, Pablo.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome, man. Wow. Okay, so Scrappy MMA. That creates a visual. What's it like in the club, man? What's the culture of Scrappy MMA like?
It's good. It's I mean, like most gyms, who's going to really say that their gym is not a good place with friendly people and good instructors and a good vibe, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as good as I probably shouldn't say it's as good as any other gym. No, it's good. It's the guys that are there to train seriously, because there's a lot of serious competitors more on the MMA side. That's kind of why I ended up getting not stuck, but involved and really committed. That's the word, committed to the gym, because I fought MMA through that. It's definitely not the same vibe as a traditional jiu-jitsu gym, just because it is MMA focused, and they've got some big names, like as big as you can get in MMA. So
nice.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome. No, I love the name. That's a really unique name, I think, for a gym. Did you come up with it, or was it already named that?
No, it's kind of a longish story. The guy that runs the gym used to work there, and it used to be called the MMA Clinic. And then from my understanding, I could be wrong, but he ended up buying the business and rebranding it. And there's something in the past there where his nickname was Scrappy, he was really into Scrappy Doo, because the Scrappy Doo, his cousin, is one of the logos. To be honest, I wasn't a big fan when they called it Scrappy MMA, but then somebody called it the Scrapyard, and I was like, oh, that sounds a bit better.
That's cool, man.
Scrapyard BJJ.
Awesome, man. And you're the head coach for BJJ, right? Yeah, awesome, man.
Well, awesome. With Braden Sweeney, one of the other guys.
Okay, great.
We do it together, team.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the like for you? Like, what's your BJJ? Like, if people were to drop by, do a scrappy BJJ class, what are they going to get if they catch up with you guys? Because definitely, like, we want to really get to know the Perth scene better as well. A lot of the people over here in Melbourne, Sydney, where a lot of our listeners are, they do go to Perth, but they don't know where to go, where to drop in, what to see. So what are they going to get if they drop in and visit you guys?
God, I want to say we're like a specialist in something, but really I try to keep it as solid, old school basics. And I know some people are like, what are basics?
Yeah, nice.
There are basics, but I kind of think that anything that you can do regardless of body type is basics.
Right.
Try to kind of focus it around there. We do kind of deviate sometimes. Like recently, Braden Sweeney, the other coach, covers leg locks, because I'm just like, as much as I compete in shows and locally, I always find that whenever somebody enters my legs, I pretty much just start running away. Like I'll turn, I'll put my bum on the ground, I'll butt scoot away, I'll disengage the legs, and I'm fine at doing it, and I can pass and stuff. But the recent comp that I was in, a guy jumped on my legs, and I was just like, in that moment, I was like, I'm sick of not wanting to engage in this exchange that they want to do. So I've been really focusing on that. So Sweeney did, I think it was like 4 weeks just on straight leg locks, and I've been anybody that's a blue belt and above. I've been doing nothing but leg locks too. So it's starting to pay off slowly. So to answer your question, basically the same as anywhere else. Probably a bit more back control stuff, just because of my body type. It kind of lends itself towards back control, so we're probably a bit heavier into that.
Yeah, beautiful.
And do you guys teach gi and no gi, or only the no gi?
Officially, it's gi and no gi. But being an MMA gym, there are some weeks where it's really good, and I'll get like the beginners no gi classes, 20 to 30 people. The beginners gi classes, kind of 15 people. And then recently the advanced gi classes that I teach have been like 3 or 4. So it's a noticeable change.
I reckon that's across the board, not just at your gym. I see that over here in Melbourne too. So
really?
Yeah, I don't know. Nogi is definitely more sexy. It's more popular. I don't know what's
I tell
going
her,
on, but yeah.
all the hubbub telling everybody to drop the gi. I kind of miss it. Like for MMA, I got really into no gi because I had to. But now I went to an open mat this morning and one other guy brought a gi and I didn't bring a gi because they told me it was no gi. But
Yeah.
now even the open mats that I go to, there's like a weird little cliquey cult group of dudes in the corner doing gi where I was before I started. So my partner used to train at a gym in Perth, and she knows some guys from back in the day, and she reckons that like the nogi guys were the guys in the corner wearing like spandex and doing all the stuff without the gi and jumping on each other's legs and stuff, and it's completely switched now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's definitely camps of each side, you know. Well, and like you said, your partner is into BJJ as well, and
She
yeah,
got she got stacked like 18 years ago.
ouch,
Wait, is it 18? No, she got stacked a while when she was 19.
right,
And she hurt her lower back, and it's just been bad ever since. So she got to purple belt, but she hasn't been able to really train since.
right. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
That you guys don't look like say you've been with her for 18 years, or
No. I've been with her for 3 now. But when
okay,
she was 18, she used to do jujitsu. No, when she was up to like 19 or 20, and then
okay.
she got a pretty serious injury to her lower back that just hasn't been treatable. So
Oh, damn, man. Sorry to hear that. But jujitsu,
That's
well, actually,
really
yeah,
unusual
yeah.
because so your partner, your female partner, introduced you to jiu-jitsu. Is that what you're saying?
no, we
Oh,
we
no.
met on
Oh,
dating.
okay. Oh, okay.
But it
Sorry,
just
Anton, I
turned out
interrupted
she
you.
got to purple belt. That is cool. Like that's rare
Yeah.
that you like meet someone, Tinder or whatever. You meet someone and then you find out that they got to purple belt in jiu-jitsu and then no longer do jiu-jitsu. Is that what happened? Because that's even
That was a thing. So we met on Bumble, and I had on my account I think a photo with me and a gi,
Mhm.
and then just getting to know each other, we matched, and then it was like, oh, what are you into? Do you know what jiu-jitsu is? And I normally ask that question, they say no, and I go, it's kind of like wrestling but like more aggressive.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, no, I used to train, I used to be a purple belt. And I was like,
That's
what
so
the
hot.
fuck?
Like a purple belt is hot right there. I'll tell you, or above. But like that's
It's
real commitment.
it's wild though that she got to purple and then she had to stop training. I'm just thinking about like, you hear about all the people that drop out at blue, right?
Yeah.
But then to get to purple, it's like a big part of your life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you're probably
100%.
going to make it all the way, but yeah, it just sucks that she had that injury, and I know she misses it, but yeah,
So she
Yeah,
can't come back. It's not something that is repairable.
they did a bunch of scans. From my understanding of it, because this was all way before I met her, but they did a bunch of scans, and she tried to get a few treatments and went to all the different types of therapies, and just nothing kind of took. What I find weird is they reckon they did all the scans and nobody could see anything wrong.
Yeah, that's weird shit, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes you really question like our current technologies, because there's obviously something wrong, or she would be training. So
Yeah. Well, like that's why I'm low key hoping that like there's some new like local low cost stem cell shit comes out in a few years, and we're like, baby, we're back on. But until that happens, yeah.
This is an interesting topic though, because we had someone on the show yesterday, our 200th episode, Dan Cherubin, and we were talking about. He was talking about there were people at his gym when he first started training who are now they're black belts, but they no longer train. And I'm like, fuck. At some point, someday, I'm going to be the guy who no longer trains, and that is like it's actually a very confront. Like they're just lost to jiu-jitsu. People rarely talk about them anymore. I'm guessing. Like they've still got mates who train, whatever, but it is such a huge part of our identity. And then at some point, we're going to become someone who no longer trains jiu-jitsu. It's like whether it happens at black belt or coral belt or white belt or blue belt, eventually all of us are going to find that point, whether we want it or not. And it's quite confronting.
I feel like I can't imagine that happening to me though. Even like when you say that, the first thing I thought was like, okay, the only reason I think that they might have quit, and I'm probably completely wrong, but is that they were at a certain level, and then when they started not being able to perform to the expectations that they have in their mind, they started to have like this negative feedback loop every time they went to jiu-jitsu. And then it's like, nah, I don't want to get beat up by these kids anymore. Where I'm like, oh yeah, if you think about it that way, and it's just about being able to win. And then as soon as you're not able to win whenever you want anymore, okay, then you're probably not going to make it until the old age. But I feel like I'm going to be the old guy that people are going to be like, yeah, you roll with Pablo, but just be careful because he still thinks he's capable. Just don't hurt him too much kind of thing. I reckon I'm still going to be on the mats when I'm like 60, 70 kind of thing.
Fuck yes. I hope so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but I feel like I'm not that far away from that actually myself already. So, how old are you? Can we ask?
I am 45 years old.
What?
No way. You look like a baby, man.
Oh shit. I'm 33.
Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. That makes more sense. That's more, yeah. Cool. So you're a pretty active competitor, yeah? Like you competed on quite a few of the big shows over in Perth and around the country, or just in Perth?
No, I M16 I competed on there as well, that invitational. So I ended up winning the belt for 77 kilos and I defended it a bunch of times and then I lost it. But I haven't been on any of the shows around Australia. I messaged Subversion a few years ago and I, oddly enough, almost had a match with Luke Martin. I was actually matched up and then kind of a long story, but I was forced to sell a house that I had built and it ended up costing me a whole bunch of money. So I couldn't justify the cost of taking the weekend off to go and the cost of the flights and accommodation and shit. So bit of a missed opportunity, but yeah.
Yeah, no, jiu-jitsu is it's a weird one because it's kind of like professional, but also still an amateur sport. Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like I think it's a difficult one to make money from at this point, would you say?
I don't know if you guys are having this in Victoria, but there's been an explosion of gyms since like just before COVID. Like all the way up until just before COVID, we had all the established gyms in Perth, and every now and then you'd hear whispers of somebody starting a new one, or like they'd start a new one, but it was out on the fringes. Since COVID, there has been George's gym. There's been one in Osborne Park. There's been another one near Belmont there. I can't remember all of them, but I remember every time thinking, oh, this gym's going to fail. There's no way. It's a saturated market. And all of these gyms are popping up and they're succeeding.
Wow.
The thing is, like, being such a, I guess I'm risk averse, but like the idea of opening up a gym and giving it all the effort it needs for it to truly grow, I just don't feel like there's enough money in jiu-jitsu to justify that. Like if I want to live comfortably, if I'm cool with like living at the gym for a little bit while it's going and stuff, but I feel like at my age, I'm like, I want a comfy couch and a bed in a separate room to the couch kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I agree. But there are people out there who've been doing it for a long time, and there's no doubt they're living a very comfortable life. They're buying very nice coffee machines and very nice houses, and you know, I'm talking about John Will because like it's in Lamazoko at his house. I know that it's definitely doable, but you're right. It's a long route, but I guess it is doing something that you absolutely adore with your life, you know. But yeah, I hear you. It's definitely a grind as well. And actually, there are plenty of people, like whenever we have people on the show and they've opened their own gym, we always ask them, what's it been like? And invariably they say, well, there was a moment where we were thinking maybe we should just close the doors. Maybe this is too hard. Like they all go through that. But if they'd survived that, then yeah, they're living the life that they want to live, you know?
I remember hearing about John Will's house because I still officially am under John Will, like the lineage. So I moved from the one that I started at. I got graded under. I'm grading under a guy in Albany, Mitsudomo, Christopher Mazzali, but he's also through the grapevine, I guess, under John Will. So, but you mentioned his house, and I remember going to a few of his seminars. And if you've gone to John Will seminars, you know that he's going to tell you stories about his life and stuff, and him talking about the house that he's making. Like this is years ago when he was making it. So, and it sounded impressive.
Yeah, he's definitely living a great life. Yeah.
Speaking about houses, when we were setting this up, you were telling us that, or you were saying to me that tomorrow you've got like open houses. So are you looking at buying a house, or is that your side gig?
They raise the rent again.
So, all right.
I think we've just been dragging our feet because we both kind of got stung with real estate before. But there's no, like, with the deposit that we have and the position that we're in now, where we should have pulled the trigger like probably half a year ago and done something. But yeah, but no, they raised the rent again. And I originally started renting this place for
Oh, that's
like a
nice.
cool little front courtyard.
Oh,
Yeah, beautiful.
And it's like, I love old houses. This is from the 1960s, I think. But it started at 390, and it's 10 minutes from the city. And now, it was 2.5 years ago, and now they've recently raised it to 510. So it's a substantial difference.
Mm,
wow.
okay. That's
So
interesting.
prices in Perth are on par, or pretty close to on par with Melbourne then.
Oh,
'cause-
no way. No. Melbourne for
No?
10 minutes from the city, 600,
Oh, no, you'd be looking at
750,
$800 a week.
a week. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
true.
I feel like lucky, but still, I'm specifically lucky the guy hasn't raised it super high. But like the same thing that's happening to me now. Friends 6 months ago were saying, yeah, my rent went from 500 to 650
Yeah,
when we went to renew, kind of thing. So
that's it.
That's
Yeah,
quite amazing.
not exactly
Yeah.
base, but
yeah.
It seems
Yeah.
like, and also, yeah, as you say, you mentioned properties come up twice in this podcast because you're also saying you couldn't go compete because you were dealing with a property situation as well. So it seems like
Yeah.
property, is that the one that you got burnt on?
oh my God. Oh, it got worse because it was still on my net bank, my portfolio.
Right.
I bought that house. It's a long story, and it's going to make me sound like an absolute idiot, but
That's
basically,
okay. I lost 100 grand on a property. Let me just tell you that right now, bro. So,
you have to put extra money in 100 grand or
yeah.
like-
Like I bought it in a relationship broke up. I bought it high, had to sell it low, and then also had to pay for it to be renoed to sell because I'd started maintaining it myself. I started fixing it myself and done damage. So yeah,
my brother, I feel like we're going to connect with this. So my house, we bought it for 420. We split up. I could afford to stay there, but she wanted to sell because she was worried about her liabilities. So she forced the sale of the house. We ended up selling it for 346.
Yeah.
And I had been paying it off for like 3 years. No, yeah, because it took me 2 years to sell the house. It was weird. I don't know why it took so long, but it took me 2 years to sell the house. And I had to put an extra $14,000 into it. So that house sold for 346.
Yeah.
It's a property estimator. And on my net bank portfolio, it said that house is estimated at, and I sold that like 2 years ago for 346. It is now estimated to be worth 550,000.
No. Oh man.
I saw that and I was pointing to Sarah and I was like, just sad face because we're on the phone with the mortgage broker. I was like, oh my God,
Holy
look at this.
shit. Okay, that's
$50,000.
intense, man. I don't even want to look at the value of the property I lost money on. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just gonna feel bad.
Nah, what are you going to do? Now, yesterday was always the best time to buy, or 6 months ago was always the best time. So you just got to jump in. I've just bought, and we've probably bought at the peak. The interest rates are going to go down, and we've bought when it's crazy. But I just I couldn't keep keep renting and paying someone else's mortgage sort of thing. So that's
right.
where I'm at. Yeah.
Everyone's saying it's going to get better around the corner. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like, yes, but I'm not going to end up financially better off, or for my mental health better off if I wait out another year and then it doesn't. And then, so I feel like it's just one of the things where with this kind of, with buying a house, you just kind of have to jump in. I mean, I don't know. There's no definite thing around the corner that interest rates are going to drop. There's no definite event that's going to happen around the corner where there's going to be less demand for houses in Western Australia. So
Now, definitely not asking you to talk about your actual income, but I am wondering, like, the life of a head coach in Western Australia. Can you, is this how you can afford to buy can you buy a house with head coach income in Western Australia?
Well, do you have another side job, or is coaching your only income?
No, I have a full-time job. So I've got an ABN, and it's like a sole trader thing, where I invoice the gym for the classes I teach. But no, I work for St. John of God Healthcare.
Okay,
I'm a trainer for them. So that's why. So I've landed that job. and that's kind of what's got us to start seriously looking at property. But
Okay.
no, if I was just doing the head coaching role, especially since I just invoiced for the classes, there's no.
Okay. Yeah, got it. So
Maybe
it's something you do for love.
really hustle and sell privates and mentorship programs like you're seeing all over the place. But I can't imagine being able to afford a house with just jiu-jitsu money.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something I'm doing wrong and other guys are killing it. But yeah.
I think it's a hustle. I think even if you've been in the game for like, 15, 20 years, I don't know. That's what I see from over here. So it's fair to say though that the Perth scene is pretty hot. Like sounds like there's a lot of jiu-jitsu and it's growing.
It's getting pretty serious compared to where it was like 13 years ago when I started. There's 2 gyms now that are running pro classes during the day. And there are some pretty good names that are homegrown talents, which is good because we used to get people visit from interstate and kind of really used to be, in my mind, Victoria or Melbourne specifically, like the guys at Absolute were like the pinnacle when they went to ADCC. And now Luke Martin and Sydney West are kind of on the scene and just winning absolutely everything. So it makes me think that like the level of jiu-jitsu in Australia is raising, so we can definitely compete with the rest of the world. Where I don't know, maybe I was wrong, but I used to think it wasn't that. Like I used to think in my mind that the Americans and the Brazilians were probably better just as a standard. But and inevitably, like we are pretty far away, but I feel like Western Australia is doing similar. Like it's pretty validating, even for myself when I went over and I was like, oh God, yeah, these guys in Adelaide, even though Adelaide is a small scene, they're close to Sydney and they're close to Melbourne, they're probably going to have some kind of cross training or some kind of a higher standard. And then I went and competed and I was fine. Like, got this theory in my mind that even though I may not be the fanciest, I may not have the coolest, flashiest moves, in the end, everything you do to me is to get, and I've said this before on an interview, is to either get me to mount or back control. And if I just spend all my time defending mount and back control, and you can't submit me or control me from there, then all your fancy, your berimbolas, your flying entries, everything, it doesn't mean anything because in the end, you haven't spent as much time as I have in the kill positions.
Interesting.
Which is kind of match with Levi from Absolute, and he absolutely made me look like an idiot. But when he got to mount, he couldn't make anything work, which I was happy with. And then when he got my back for a second, I don't know why he did this. He ended up going for an armbar instead of staying on the back and going for the rear naked choke. And as soon as I felt that leg going over for the armbar, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fine. But if I had spent more time focusing on legs or focusing on berimbolas or focusing on truck or focusing on Kimura trap systems instead of working on mount and back control defense, I think that would have been a different match.
Amazing.
Where was that? Where did you go against Levi? Was that at on a pro show or?
Yeah, it was Battlegrounds.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
It's the only match on their YouTube right now.
Awesome.
They're kind of a YouTube account. So it's free to watch if you want to watch me get.
We'll put a link to it when we post the show for sure. We'll have to do
if you're happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah, like full disclaimer, he does kind of do what he wants with me in terms of passing for the 10 minutes, but I get a look at one guillotine thing, so I do manage to get him defensive for a second there. But yeah.
So I'm not sure if I understood everything you said because you did give us a bit of a wall of talk right there. But I think you said that you have spent so much time defending being mounted and being choked that you're comfortable there and you can deal with anything. But do you also work on offense out of there? Like, do you have do you encourage people? Do you bait people there and then attack? Or do you just know that you're very comfortable there so you're not worried anything?
You're making me sound like a tactical genius. No, my thing was when people start training, especially if they're under me, and then they go, "Oh, it's so hard to control mount. It's so hard to pass guard. It's so hard to hold side control." I'm like, yes, it is, and it may be different for you, but for me, I didn't get good at that until like well into my purple belt. I was always a guard player, but no matter how bad things get, people are always going to, if you defend the sub, people are always, so you defend like a cheeky little Americana or a Kimura from bottom side control, they're going to use that threat to upgrade. And where they're going to upgrade to, they're going to upgrade to mount, or they're going to upgrade to back control. So if you concentrate on spending a lot of time there, the idea is that whole take the beating, be the nail until one day you become the hammer. Like that's kind of how I think about matches, where if you can't put me away and you get all the good positions, mentally, you're going to start doubting yourself. And the moment you start doubting, it only takes me getting on top once with you in defeated mindset for me to start able to take advantage of that.
Interesting.
So I don't, so it's not like I'm getting everybody into mount and then kipping them into a single X and then doing some fancy leg entry. It's more basic.
Yeah.
If I can make you feel like you can't submit me despite you getting the best positions, then you're going to try less to submit me and to control me. And you're going to start trying option A, option B, C, D, and E, like all the weird exotic submissions. And that's when you're going to make a mistake. And that's probably when I'm going to be able to get on top and make something work.
Oh, so it's a mental game you play with people as well. It's a very mental game by the sound of it.
I mean, even this morning I went to an open mat and I got on a guy's back and I managed to get the choke wrapped, but he tucked his chin and then I couldn't get my other hand behind for the rear naked choke. And I just remember being on there and I was like, I've got this guy's chin. I should be able to finish. And I just couldn't finish. And he sat there for like 3 minutes with me trying to choke him. I couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
So I feel like that whole idea, like you're not thinking mental battle, but I guess you could call it being stubborn.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We normally ask this pretty early on, but actually we're heading towards the end here. But tell us, Pablo, about how you got started in jiu-jitsu.
Mine was very unique. See, what happened is I watched The Ultimate Fighter.
We've never heard that before.
Yeah. Actually, no, it is different. Okay, everyone has watched the UFC, but The Ultimate Fighter, a separate series, a reality TV show. This is a little different. Do go on.
My friend worked at a pawnbroker, so he brought home The Ultimate Fighter season 1, 2, and 3, and then we watched it. And then we, from the couch with no training, we're saying, no, this is what this guy should be doing, and this guy should be doing. From there, we Googled a gym nearby. It was 3 blocks away. And we went down and we joined up, and we're like, yeah, but the gi is dumb. We don't need the gi. We're just going to do no gi until we're good enough to fight MMA. And then we did no gi for like 3 months. And then one day we were at a Christmas party. We were kind of drunk. And I turned to my friend at the time and I was like, hey, man, I think I'm going to try the gi. He's like, yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. So we started doing the gi. And then 6 years later, or 6 or 7 years later, I finally stepped into the cage. So it was like a massive detour from the original.
Wow.
But yeah, started with the fighter.
You know, I think is a good title for the show here. Drunk enough to try the gi. I think.
That's me. That's the line. You got it. That's clickbait.
It is.
Write that down before you forget it out.
I will.
And Pablo, tell us as well about your MMA career. What's gone on there?
So it was supposed to be one and done. Because originally I wanted to fight MMA, and then as I did more and more jiu-jitsu, it was more like I never wanted to be a coach, and I never wanted to give people advice if they could turn around and this is like the negative way of thinking about it. But if they could turn around and be like, well, what do you know? You've never been punched in the face. So as a way to validate it, for me to be a black belt one day, so this is kind of what was going through my head as like a blue and a purple, is like, I don't want to be a black belt that hasn't been tested as much as you can get right, short of going out and getting to fights in the street, which nobody should do. Don't do that. But so that's kind of where it came from. And then George Garley was actually my first MMA fight. I don't know if he mentioned it on the podcast, but
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, because he's a nice guy. He's not going to talk about how he knocked me out. Yeah. So no, it was pretty bad. I first round I got on a single, my head went too low, and then he just absolutely clobbered the side of my face.
Wow.
With all my family and my friends and my girlfriend there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember I was like real dark for like a couple of days, and then back in the gym on Monday, and then from there, so it was always supposed to be, I thought I was going to be hot shit, go in, submit one dude, be like untouchable, the guard works.
Yep.
That turned into 4 more amateur fights and then 1 pro fight, which I submitted everyone besides one guy who I won unanimous decision. So Yeah. So that was the pro fight was like 3 days before I became the head MMA coach
Right.
of this gym, which
Wow.
is weird because
So,
I started coaching and everybody knew me as the guy who was fighting MMA, the jiu-jitsu guy who fought MMA at Scrappy MMA. And then I moved into coaching, and now there's dudes who are part of the amateur class. We're having amateur fights. And a dude came up to me recently, is like, "Oh man, I Googled you. You fought Quillen." And I was like, "Yeah, a few years ago." And it's gone to the point now where my achievements and the shit I've done to validate myself for my, like, internally to validate myself to be the head coach of an MMA gym for grappling, it's so far in the past now that people are like, "Oh my God, the coach used to fight? That's so
Yeah.
wild." And I'm like, and I feel very old now.
there you go.
That's
So
awesome.
it worked. It totally worked then.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. I love how we're building this. Even this show is a piece of like immutable content that's going to be around well past all of us being alive. It'll always be findable when people search your name or my name or Kim's name or jiu-jitsu or whatever, or too drunk to try it drunk enough to try the gi, or whatever.
Yeah.
When people search shit, like we're creating as like in this day and age, amazing content, which is a legacy, which gives people lots of inspiration. Like these people look up to you because you took those risks, got punched in the face, got knocked out, got dark, made a comeback, did more fights to kind of get yourself out of that hole. And that is now leading people and inspiring people. So yeah, man, that's epic stuff. Really. I love it.
Well, that's one of the reasons as well now that like one of the reasons I compete, well, besides it being fun, is that I never want to be the person that asks people to do stuff that I'm not willing to do myself. So if I want you to risk the embarrassment of getting submitted at a competition, I better be able to do the exact same, to put myself in the exact same position. If there's somebody who wants me to coach them and I want them to do something in a fight, even though they're tired or even though they're in a bad position, it's because I know it works, because I've done it myself. With all the same feelings of fear and anxiety and all the expectations you have on your shoulders. But if I was to do that from a place not of experience, I get how people would be like, well, what's the point of listening to this guy? So I feel like it is not to, like, I like to keep it all light and silly and loosey-goosey, but a part of it is quite serious, that if you want people to be able to risk things and to get to that uncomfortable zone where they're going to better themselves, you can't ask people to do that reasonably if you aren't willing to do the same thing yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's really, yeah,
some
agree
big shit.
100% with that. Yeah, no, that's good. I was gonna say, like, I was gonna ask you like for some words of wisdom to wrap up, but I think
That's
you've
them right
kind of
now.
like done it right there.
I've got some words of wisdom. How good does Kim's hair look? She's had it done for the show
Yes, I've
today.
just had my hair done. Normally my hair is, looking very different on the mats, so got to make the most.
No, that sounds weird. That's nice hair.
It's just rare. No one ever sees me look like this. So yeah. Do you have any? We've just got just over 1 minute to go, Pablo. Any final words for our listeners before we cut out of time?
No, but I got one question.
Go for it.
Okay, coach. I don't know which one of you guys coaches, but I call it the coach's curse, where I see it so many times, people that coach and then they start rolling high belts and then they do way worse than they used to. And it's because they roll with low belts and they let things go. And then you get away with making little mistakes. Have either of you found this?
Yes. In fact, a guy said to me the other day, he's like, roll tight but soft, because you're rolling too loose but soft. And I'm like, yeah, that's such a good way to put it. Yeah. Like, I've got to be tight but soft. That was my takeaway the other day. So does that?
Yeah, I think you let those bad habits, you can let some of those bad habits creep in because those lower belts don't always capitalize on those things. So yeah, I think whereas, if you roll with the higher belts, like you can't make those mistakes. So, yes.
So I guess it'd have to be like a last thing. I call it the coach's curse, when you let your performance slip because you roll with low belts all the time, and then you wonder why you're getting smacked by the high, more competitive guys. Just be aware of it. If you are a coach, it happened to me. As soon as you become aware of it, you're going to stop. You're going to catch yourself, and you're going to stop letting your guard get past and letting the guy get the back control, because normally against the lower belts, I escape so easy. Don't let that happen. Be aware.
So true. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you, Pablo.
Catch you soon.
We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.